When you look at the phrase, "you can't defeat me," the first thing you must understand is that defeat has nothing to do with what happens on the outside and everything to do with what you accept on the inside. It's never the event, the obstacle, or the person that actually defeats you. It's the perception you create about it. Two people can face the exact same storm. One rises stronger while the other sinks lower. The difference is not in the storm, but in how they interpret the storm. The power of perception is the deciding factor. If you perceive every challenge as the end, then you'll collapse. But if you perceive that same challenge as part of your growth, as part of your story, then it becomes fuel instead of fire. The way you see yourself and your circumstances dictates the outcome long before the outcome manifests. You may not control every event, but you absolutely control the meaning attached to those events. And that meaning shapes your results. Think about it. History is filled with individuals who were told they couldn't, who were told they were finished, who were told the odds were too high. But their perception did not allow them to see defeat. Where others saw walls, they saw stepping stones. Where others saw rejection, they saw redirection. Where others saw loss, they saw lessons. That mindset wasn't gifted to them at birth. It was developed by understanding the truth that the outer world is always a reflection of the inner world. If you allow negativity, doubt, and fear to rule your perception, then you'll live defeated even without losing. But if you choose to see strength, possibility, and opportunity, then no matter how many setbacks come, you cannot be defeated because defeat is not part of your perception. Perception is not some shallow positive thinking. It's a deliberate choice to govern your mind. Instead of letting circumstances govern it, every single day you are bombarded by conditions that could make you shrink the bills, the setbacks, the rejection letters, the failures, the disapproval. All of these are conditions, but conditions have no power until you decide how to perceive them. The one who believes they're finished because of a temporary loss will stop trying. The one who sees that same loss as preparation for a bigger win will keep moving. And the one who keeps moving cannot be defeated because defeat only exists when you stop. You've heard people say, "It is what it is." No, it isn't. It is what you perceive it to be. Two people lose their jobs. One says, "This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. My life is over." The other says, "This is my chance to start the business I've been dreaming about." Same event, completely different outcomes because perception framed the reality. That's why you cannot allow what you see with your physical eyes to dictate your destiny. You must develop a vision beyond appearances, a vision that interprets circumstances in a way that serves you instead of stopping you. Every time you shift your perception, you shift your power. If you see obstacles as signs you're unworthy, you weaken yourself. If you see them as confirmation that you're growing, you empower yourself. If you see people's criticism as proof that you should quit, you become small. If you see it as proof that you're stepping out of mediocrity and threatening comfort zones, you become unstoppable. It's not about denying reality. It's about deciding what reality means to you. And that decision is the birthplace of either defeat or dominance. When you say, "You can't defeat me," you are not speaking to people. You are speaking to your perception. You are telling yourself that no matter how difficult this gets, you will not accept a defeated interpretation of your experience. You might fall, you might cry, you might bleed, but you won't label it as defeat. You'll label it as a stage, as a season, as a step, but never the end. Once your mind refuses to register defeat, the outside world loses its power to break you. And here's the deeper truth. Perception doesn't just shape how you respond. It shapes what opportunities you attract. When you carry yourself with the energy of someone who refuses to be defeated, people respond differently. Doors open differently. Solutions appear differently. The very vibration you hold begins to alter the circumstances around you. That's why the strongest weapon you have is not money, not talent, not connections. It's perception. Because perception creates the lens through which you use all those other things. The power of perception also explains why some live in the same environment and one thrives while the other struggles. One is trapped in fear, always seeing lack, always believing the worst. The other, in the same condition, sees possibility, sees growth, sees reasons to persist. The difference is not luck, it's perception. And perception can be trained. You can teach your mind to stop interpreting pain as punishment and start interpreting it as preparation. You can train yourself to stop perceiving rejection as the end and start perceiving it as a redirection towards something greater. So when you rise in the morning and face the battles of your day, remember it's not the battle that defeats, it's the perception of the battle. If you see it as a signal of your weakness, you've lost before you begin. If you see it as a signal of your strength, you win even before you finish. The perception you choose determines the story you live. And when your perception is grounded in the belief that nothing has the power to end you, that nothing can truly stop you, then the words "you can't defeat me" are not just a statement. They are a reality you live in. Every force that pushes against you is not there to break you. It is there to strengthen you. Resistance is the very thing that develops your power. Without resistance, muscles never grow, character never develops, vision never deepens. You say you want strength, you say you want to win, but you cannot receive those things without being tested by resistance. Just as the seed must push against the soil to become a tree, just as the diamond is formed under immense pressure, you too must face resistance in order to rise into your full potential. That's why you can declare with confidence, "You can't defeat me," Because every resistance you face is not your end. It is your exercise. It is not an enemy. It is a trainer. Most people mistake resistance for rejection. They think the closed doors mean they are not good enough. They think the delays mean their dream is denied. But in reality, resistance is the universe checking to see if you are truly serious about what you say you want. If it were easy, everyone would do it. If there were no weight on the bar, everyone would lift it. But it is the resistance that separates the ones who talk from the ones who transform. The law of resistance guarantees that every obstacle carries with it an equal or greater opportunity. The pushback you feel is not there to hold you down, but to build the strength required to go higher. Think about the way nature itself operates. The eagle learns to fly not in calm skies, but against strong waves. The wind that could be seen as an obstacle becomes the very thing that helps the eagle soar higher. The same wind that grounds the ordinary bird is the wind that elevates the eagle. What's the difference? The eagle knows how to use resistance to its advantage. In the same way, you cannot look at your struggles as if they are unfair punishments. You must look at them as necessary winds designed to elevate you if you choose to spread your wings. Resistance is also proof that you are moving. If you feel no resistance, it means you are stagnant, stuck in the comfort zone where nothing grows. The moment you decide to push forward, resistance shows up. When you set a higher goal, resistance appears. When you declare a new standard for your life, resistance knocks at your door. And that's not because you're failing, it's because you are advancing. Resistance is not the sign that you're on the wrong path. It's the confirmation that you're on the right one. Without it, you would never know how strong you really are. Every time you encounter resistance, you have a choice: either collapse under it or push against it and become stronger. Most people quit because they believe resistance is defeat. But the ones who rise no resistance is the path to mastery. The runner who trains against the hill becomes faster on flat ground. The person who endures the fire of criticism becomes immune to the opinions of the crowd. The entrepreneur who survives rejection after rejection builds a foundation so strong that when success finally comes, they are unshakable. Resistance does not stop them. It conditions them. Understand this clearly. Life will not hand you victory without preparation. You will be tested. You will be stretched. You will be challenged. But every test is designed to draw out a strength you didn't even know you had. The resistance you face is shaping you for the very dream you asked for. You wanted success, but success demands discipline. So resistance comes to strengthen your discipline. You wanted freedom, but freedom demands courage. So resistance comes to strengthen your courage. You wanted greatness, but greatness demands endurance. So resistance comes to strengthen your endurance. It never arrives to defeat you. It arrives to prepare you. Look at the stories of the greatest achievers. Every single one of them faced resistance that would have crushed a weaker spirit. They didn't rise because the path was smooth. They rose because they understood the path had to be rough. They understood that every rejection, every setback, every failure was shaping their resilience, deepening their wisdom, and refining their focus. The ones who refuse to see resistance as defeat become unstoppable because nothing surprises them, nothing breaks them, nothing convinces them to quit. They know that the heavier the resistance, the greater the breakthrough waiting on the other side. So when resistance comes, do not shrink. Stand taller. Do not complain. Lean in. Do not run away. Use it. That weight you feel is not a burden. It is a blessing disguised. It is carving you into the kind of person who can handle the vision you've been given. The resistance is the evidence that you are on the edge of growth, the proof that you are moving into uncharted territory where only the committed can survive. And the truth is, once you realize that, you stop fearing resistance. You stop seeing it as the enemy. You embrace it as the most honest ally you will ever have, because it is the very thing that ensures when the world says, you can't, your response is always, watch me. Because you can't defeat me. There is no force outside of you that is greater than the power already planted within you. Most people live their entire lives believing that the world holds the keys to their destiny, that opportunity, luck, or circumstances decide their future. But the truth is, every ounce of potential you need to create, to succeed, to rise, already exists inside of you. The tragedy is not that people are weak. The tragedy is that they never discover how strong they really are. Infinite potential is not reserved for a select few. It is in every single person, waiting to be unlocked by belief, discipline, and vision. You were not born empty. You were born equipped. And the greatest battle you will ever fight is not against outside forces, but against the doubt that blinds you from seeing what is already inside of you. Think about this. Every invention, every breakthrough, every miracle of progress humanity has ever experienced came from within someone's mind first. The airplane didn't come from the sky. It came from a vision inside the Wright brothers. Electricity didn't appear out of nowhere. It came through the relentless mind of Edison. The potential for flight and light always existed in this world, but it took someone to unlock it from within and bring it to reality. The same principle applies to you. Your future, your success, your destiny, it already exists in you, not outside of you. It is a matter of unlocking it, of believing in it strongly enough to let it manifest through action. When you say, you can't defeat me, what you are really saying is, there's no challenge out there greater than the resource in here. Infinite potential means you're never really at the mercy of a circumstance, because within you lies the power to create new circumstances. That power is not measured by what you have right now, but by what you are willing to draw out of yourself. Most people look at their bank account, their environment, or their education, and they let those things define them. But those are just reflections of past thinking. They are not the measure of who you are. They are the product of what you believed yesterday. If you want to know who you truly are, don't look at your circumstances. Look at your potential. This potential is infinite because the human mind is infinite in its ability to create, to imagine, to expand. You can take a single idea, transform it into a movement. You can take one moment of inspiration and turn it into a lifetime of impact. That is how powerful you are when you decide to tap into the well of possibility inside you. The only limit that exists is the one you accept. And most limits are illusions created by fear. You are not defeated by obstacles. You are defeated by the belief that you are powerless against them. But the truth is, the same way your mind created fear, it can create courage. The same way your mind creates doubt, it can create faith. You hold the blueprint. Understand this. Potential is not about what you can see today. It's about what is unseen, the capacity to become far more than you are right now. A tree lives inside a seed, though no one can see it yet. An oak forest exists inside a handful of acorns. The same is true for you. Dreams, talents, opportunities, strength, all of it exists inside you waiting to be drawn out. The question is not whether you have potential. The question is whether you believe in it enough to cultivate it. Most people live small lives not because they were born small, but because they never watered the seed of greatness that was already placed inside them. And the moment you accept that your potential is infinite, you stop negotiating with defeat. You stop letting setbacks define you. You stop letting circumstances dictate how far you can go because you recognize that no matter what happens outside, there is always more inside to meet it. Lost your job, there is creativity inside you to build something new. Faced rejection, there is resilience inside you to try again stronger. Failed at a goal, there is wisdom inside you to adjust and grow. You cannot be defeated because you always carry within you more power than the problem in front of you. The most dangerous thing in life is not failure. It is forgetting who you are and what you carry. When you live unaware of your infinite potential, you settle for scraps when you could have abundance. You cling to security when you could live in freedom. You survive when you were meant to thrive. But when you awaken to the truth that you have more power inside you than any force outside of you, your entire posture changes. You stop walking with your head down and start walking with authority. You stop saying, I can't, and start saying, watch me. You stop seeing defeat as final and start seeing it as fuel to unlock the next level of your potential. That is why no matter how dark the season, no matter how high the mountain, no matter how strong the storm, you can look it in the face and say with certainty, you can't defeat me. Because what is within you has no limits. It is infinite, unmeasurable, and undefeatable when you choose to believe in it and act on it. Failure has been misunderstood for generations. People have been trained to believe that failure is the opposite of success. That if you fail, you're done. That if you fall short, you've proven you're not capable. But the truth is failure is not a master, it is a teacher. It is not a wall, it is a doorway. Every time you fail, you are being handed information. You are being handed lessons that success could never teach you. Success often blinds people, but failure opens eyes. It strips away illusions. It shows you what doesn't work. And if you are wise enough to listen, it positions you for a breakthrough. The ones who live in defeat are the ones who misunderstood failure, who bow down to it as if it were a final authority. The ones who rise beyond defeat are the ones who embrace failure as part of the curriculum of greatness. Think about the process of learning anything new. A child learning to walk will fall over and over again. They stumble. They hit the ground, they wobble, but no one looks at that child and says, walking isn't for you. Everyone knows those falls are necessary, that they are teaching the muscles, teaching balance, teaching coordination. The child doesn't think of those falls as failure, they think of them as steps. That's why they eventually walk. Adults forget this truth. They stumble once or twice and they say, maybe I'm not meant for this. They fail at one attempt and they label themselves failures instead of labeling the attempt as feedback. If you can return to the mindset of that child, you'll never be defeated because you'll see every fall as part of the process. Failure is feedback, and feedback is a gift. It shows you exactly where you need to grow, what you need to refine, what you need to eliminate. Without it, you would keep repeating the same mistakes unconsciously. Failure shines a light on blind spots, on weaknesses, on faulty strategies. It does not come to shame you. It comes to shape you. The greatest minds in history failed more times than they succeeded. Thomas Edison famously said he didn't fail 1,000 times at inventing the light bulb. He discovered 1,000 ways it didn't work. Each so-called failure was a stepping stone that carried him closer to the solution. Imagine if he had bowed to defeat after 100 attempts, or even 500. The world would be darker, and his potential would have died with him. But he understood the truth. Failure cannot defeat you unless you stop moving. Look closely at anyone who has achieved anything significant, and you'll see a long trail of failures behind them. Athletes who missed shots, entrepreneurs who lost businesses, authors whose manuscripts were rejected dozens of times, speakers who were told they weren't good enough. What separated them from those who stayed defeated was not talent, it was perspective. They refused to see failure as a verdict, they saw it as training. Every mistake was conditioning them, sharpening them, teaching them things success never could. Failure in its proper place becomes a servant to your growth. The problem is that many people take failure personally. They don't separate the event from their identity. They say, I failed, and they turn it into, I am a failure. That shift in language is what destroys them. An event is temporary and identity is permanent. The moment you fuse failure with identity, you lie defeated even when opportunity is still waiting for you. But when you see failure as just an event, just feedback, you can rise again and again. You realize you are not defined by what didn't work. You are defined by what you do next. Failure is also the great filter. It weeds out those who want the prize but are unwilling to endure the process. Every rejection, every setback asks you a question. Are you serious about this? Most people quit, proving they were never really committed. But the few who answer yes with action, who rise after every fall, they are the ones who ultimately win. They win not because they avoided failure, because they partnered with it, learned from it, and allowed it to carve them into someone worthy of carrying the success they desired. Think of failure as a mirror. It reflects where you are, but not who you are. It shows the areas you must adjust, but it doesn't dictate your worth. When you stop fearing it, when you stop running from it, you free yourself. You begin to move boldly, to take risks, to chase visions that others are too scared to chase. And even when you stumble forward. Even when you fall into wisdom. Even when you lose, you gain experience. That's why failure can never truly defeat you. It only refines you. The truth is, failure only has the power to stop the ones who stop themselves. It cannot force you to quit. It can only offer you the opportunity to. If you refuse to surrender, failure becomes a very force that builds your resilience. It becomes your silent coach, pushing you harder than success ever could. It makes you creative, resourceful, and relentless. And when you finally break through, you'll realize you didn't succeed in spite of failure. You succeeded because of it. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not against the world, not against critics, not against rejection, but against yourself. Dominion over self is the highest victory. Until you master your doubts, fears, and limiting beliefs, you will always live at the mercy of circumstances. But the moment you take control of your inner world, the outer world has no choice but to follow. Everything in life flows from the inside out. If your inner dialogue is negative, you'll see negativity in every corner. If your thoughts are filled with fear, you'll interpret every opportunity as a threat. If you constantly focus on your limitations, you'll live small even when opportunities for greatness are right in front of you. But when you learn to govern your mind, to discipline your emotions, to align your beliefs with your vision, you become undefeatable because nothing outside of you can overpower what you've already mastered inside. Think about it. The most dangerous enemy is not the one who attacks from the outside. It's the one that whispers from within. That voice that says, you're not good enough. That feeling that says, you're going to fail. That doubt that creeps in the moment you're about to take a leap. If you don't take dominion over that voice, it will sabotage you every time. Opportunities will come and go. But your inner critic will keep talking you out of them. That's why so many people live stuck. They're not defeated by life. They're defeated by the conversations inside their own heads. But once you rise above those inner battles, once you silence the lies and choose to program your mind with truth, courage, and faith, then no external force can bring you down. Mastery over self begins with awareness. You cannot conquer what you don't confront. If you walk through life unaware of the thoughts running through your mind, unaware of the beliefs driving your behavior, you'll keep repeating cycles that keep you stuck. But the moment you stop and examine, what am I believing about myself? What story am I telling myself about this situation? You begin to take back your power. Most of the time, the chains that hold people down are invisible. They're not made of steel. They're made of thoughts. They're made of assumptions. They're made of old conditioning that was planted in childhood. And until you take authority over them, you'll keep living in a cage with the door wide open. Dominion over self also requires discipline. Freedom is not found in doing whatever you feel like doing. True freedom is found in mastering your impulses so they don't control you. The person who cannot control their habits will always live as a slave to them. The person who cannot master their emotions will always be tossed around by every storm. But the one who chooses discipline, who chooses to rise at the same time each day, to put in the work even when they don't feel like it, to keep their word to themselves, even when it's uncomfortable, that person develops a kind of power that no one can take away. Discipline is the foundation of self-mastery, and self-mastery is the foundation of victory. When you look at the people who have achieved extraordinary things, what sets them apart is not luck or talent alone. It's their ability to govern themselves. They mastered their minds to stay focused when distractions came. They mastered their emotions to keep moving when fear knocked. They mastered their beliefs so that even when others doubted them, they didn't doubt themselves. They had dominion over self, and that gave them dominion over circumstances. Because once you are unshakable within, the storms outside lose their power. Every great leader, every visionary, every trailblazer had to fight this inner war. They had to overcome the temptation to quit, the fear of failure, the insecurity of not being enough. Some of them were surrounded by people who didn't believe in them, yet they still won because they believed in themselves. Others were faced with impossible odds, yet they still pushed through because their inner conviction was stronger than the outer conditions. That is the essence of dominion over self, the power to hold your vision so strongly that no storm, no critic, no rejection can take it from you. And here's the truth. Once you master yourself, you realize that most battles in life are illusions. People's opinions lose their grip because you no longer need their validation. Setbacks don't crush you because you've trained your mind to see them as lessons. Fear still shows up, but it no longer controls you because you built the courage to act in spite of it. You stop being a prisoner of your emotions and start being the master of them. You stop being reactive to life and start being proactive, creating the reality you want instead of being dragged by the one you fear. This is why you can say with conviction, you can't defeat me, because once you've conquered yourself, there is nothing left to conquer. No critic is louder than your inner voice of faith. No rejection is heavier than the belief you carry in your purpose. No obstacle is stronger than the discipline you've cultivated through daily mastery. The one who rules themselves walks through life with authority, with clarity, with unshakable confidence. They don't need to prove anything to anyone because they already proved it to themselves. That's the ultimate victory, the victory within. Conviction is the fire that burns when everything else has gone cold. Conviction is the voice that says keep going when every reason says stop. Conviction is the unshakable anchor inside you that refuses to let circumstance, opinions, or setbacks dictate your future. When your vision is clear and your purpose is strong, you become immovable. People can doubt you. Life can throw punches at you. Doors can close in your face. But conviction will not allow you to surrender. It is conviction that turns ordinary men and women into forces that history remembers. Without conviction, every challenge feels final. With conviction, every challenge feels temporary, a hurdle on the path to destiny. Conviction does not come from wishful thinking. It comes from knowing. It comes from having a purpose so deeply rooted inside you that nothing on the outside can shake it. When you know why you're doing something, when you are clear about the vision you hold, the strength to endure naturally rises. People often fail not because they lack skill, not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack conviction. They start, but they don't finish. They commit, but they don't endure. The reason is that their why is weak. When your why is weak, resistance defeats you. But when your why is strong, resistance becomes fuel. Think of all the dreamers who were laughed at, who were told they were crazy, who were told their vision was impossible. What kept them moving was not approval, it was conviction. Conviction allowed them to hold on when there was nothing to hold on to. Conviction allowed them to see light in the dark, opportunity in the rejection, victory in the middle of defeat. That unshakable certainty inside is what separates those who wish from those who win. When you carry conviction, rejection doesn't stop you. It sharpens you. Criticism doesn't break you. It builds you. Delay doesn't discourage you. It develops you. Conviction transforms every obstacle into evidence that you are on the right path. Because if you can still move forward when everything says turn back, you prove to yourself and the world that your purpose is bigger than your pain. And once you've proven that, defeat no longer exists in your vocabulary. Conviction gives you a kind of vision that no one else can see. People around you may only see what is in front of them, the problems, the lack, the impossibility. But you, driven by conviction, see beyond appearances. You see the end before the beginning. You see the finished product while others see only the pieces. That clarity gives you courage, and courage keeps you moving when fear is present. Conviction doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It means fear cannot control you. Conviction doesn't mean the road is smooth. It means the road cannot make you quit. There is something magnetic about conviction. When people sense that you are certain, when they see that you cannot be swayed, they are drawn to it. Conviction inspires trust. It attracts allies. It commands respect. Even those who doubt you secretly admire the strength of your stand. That is why conviction is one of the most powerful forces you can ever develop. It not only sustains you, it influences the world around you. But conviction doesn't appear overnight. It is forged in struggle, refined in resistance, and proven in persistence. Every time you choose to keep going when it would be easier to quit, your conviction grows. Every time you silence the noise of doubt and listen to the voice of vision, your conviction deepens. Every time you act on your belief instead of bowing to your fear, your conviction becomes unshakable. And once it reaches that level, you cannot be defeated, because defeat requires surrender and conviction doesn't allow surrender. Imagine the difference between a person who tries something with half belief and a person who commits with full conviction. The half believer will crumble at the first sign of trouble, but the one with conviction will crawl, fight, bleed, and endure until the vision is real. That's why conviction is more valuable than talent, more powerful than resources, more important than approval. All those things are helpful, but without conviction, they mean nothing. With conviction, even without those things, you can still rise. Conviction also gives you consistency. Success is not built in a single moment of passion, but in sustained effort over time. Many start with excitement, but only those with conviction finish with excellence. Excitement fades when the work gets hard, but conviction grows strong and difficult. Excitement looks for instant results. Conviction embraces the process. Excitement quits when recognition doesn't come. Conviction keeps going with or without applause. That's why conviction is the glue that holds dreams together until they become reality. Every day you will face voices that tell you to stop, circumstances that tempt you to turn back, emotions that try to weaken your resolve. But conviction is the anchor that holds you steady in the storm. It is the foundation beneath your feet when everything around you is shaking. It is the fire in your chest when everything else has grown cold. With conviction, you don't just survive, you thrive. With conviction, you don't just move, you advance. With conviction, you don't just endure, you conquer.